After 20 years, a Milwaukee man is breaking his silence. He describes his run-in with Dahmer just hours before Dahmer killed his 13th victim.
Two police officers missed a big chance to stop Dahmer's killing spree that same night. The I-Team's Rob Coble is here with details. Rob?
Well, it's the night no one can forget. The night a frantic naked boy escaped from Dahmer's apartment pleading for help, only to be taken back to the killer by the very cops who could have saved him. He was with Conorick right here.
He was holding him, yeah.
Dana doesn't want us to show his face or use his last name, but he decided to come forward now, 2 decades after he called 911. He spotted the terrified 14-year-old Conorick synthesophone and cannibalistic killer Jeffrey Dahmer right here on the corner of 25th and State.
Did you remember that specific incident?
Yeah, how can you forget?
He wants to talk about that horrible night because he still has nightmares about it. He hopes sharing his regrets might help him somehow.
About helping the Conorick, who would turn out to be 14 or 15 at the time. Sick to my stomach, knowing that something like this happened. I don't know if I could have done anything.
This is what happened on that fateful night. Dana's driving along State Street and notices the two on the corner. Conorick naked and hurt. He doesn't remember Conorick looking 14 or underage.
I had no way to know his age. Just more because he looked like he was unconscious. His eyes, his head was back, and his eyes were kind of rolled into his head. I thought he might need medical attention.
Dana wasn't the only one worried about him. Glenda Cleveland's daughter and niece also stopped to help. Cleveland called 911.
Man down. Color states there's a man badly beaten and is wearing no clothes, lying in the street, 25 in State.
Waiting for the police to arrive, Dana strikes up a conversation with the very calm Jeffrey Dahmer.
I asked if everything was okay. I asked if you want me to call 9, if they wanted me, if you need any help or needed me to call. No, everything's fine. Everything's, I got, he said this kid got the heck beat out of him, and they took his clothes and his shoes, and I'm just getting him back to my place.
Dana waits for the police to show up. Ambulance crews come too. Then he figures it's okay to leave. Milwaukee police officers Joseph Gabrish and John Balsersack ask Dahmer what's going on. This time the killer changes the story. Dahmer tells cops Conorick's 19, that they're lovers, that his boyfriend is just drunk, and they'd gotten into a fight. The cops buy it. Listen to what one of them tells dispatch over the radio.
36. Intoxicated Asian naked male was returned to his sober boyfriend, and we're 10-8.
Within 30 minutes, Dahmer had taken the boy that he'd actually drugged back to his apartment. He sexually assaults him, kills the teen, and then dismembers his body. When word gets out later that officers had returned the naked 14-year-old to Dahmer, the community is outraged. The officers are fired, but eventually win their jobs back. Retired Detective Patrick Kennedy, who was a lead investigator on the case, remembers.
I firmly believe that those two officers that Dennis and I both knew that night that took young Conorick back, they were hard-charging, good, honest cops who had put their life on the line for the citizens of Milwaukee. And they weren't what you would call screaming homophobic racists, but I believe it was their training and their education that caused the problem there.
Balsersack and Gabrish did not want to talk about the night, but Officer Gabrish sends me this email. It was a different time. Technology hadn't caught up with police work yet. Not in squad computers, slow systems, poor record keeping, and a couple of hard-working officers out there trying to do the right thing at the right time for the right reason. Hindsight is 20/20. God bless his victims. May he forever rot in hell. As Dana stands in the corner 20 years later, he hopes to put this chapter of his life behind him once and for all.
Has it been difficult to live with?
At times. Not as much now as it was years. I used to have frequent dreams about it, and I still every do once in a while.
Dreams that he could have done more to save a young boy from the hands of a monster.
And Dahmer would go on to kill 4 more people after that night before finally getting caught. One of his victims escaped and called the police. That was Tracy Edwards. You guys probably remember that.
You know, what is striking here is how calm Dahmer was through all of this, even when confronted by both citizens and by police.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be frazzled at all. He had a story every time. You're absolutely right, Mike.
Yeah, it was believable when you saw that kind of countenance.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Thank you very much, Rob.